So, Stu, I saw some really disturbing things. Here's one headline. This one's coming from The Guardian. The Republican Party has reason to fear the midterms. Oh, okay. And then 2022 Senate election forecast from 538. Democrats win 61 in 100. Republicans win 39 in 100.
Yeah, that's not good.
The odds. No, that's not good.
That's not good. And the Republicans were ahead on that breakdown earlier. It's always been close. And we did our first Senate preview a couple of months ago on Stu Does America, in which I said, look, this is not easy. Like, I think it feels easy because I talked to a lot of my conservative friends who look at Biden and his approval rating and think, obviously, this is a home run. You take the House and the Senate back. Mm-hmm. Part of this is structural, in which the seats just don't line up particularly well for Republicans this cycle. This goes back and forth. In 2024, it's a very good cycle for Republicans. So they will have a real advantage structurally in 2024. That's not the case here. In 2022, the Democrats have the advantage structurally. It's just a matter of which seats are up in which states. So it's harder for Republicans to take those purple opportunities, those blue-leaning opportunities, and grab them in a climate in which they are favored.
Yes.
However, the House is the opposite, where the House is basically all just climate, right? That's how it's decided every single time. Mm. Now, individual candidates can affect races, and you may lose a race or two because you've nominated a crappy candidate. But generally speaking, that should be much easier for Republicans to win. Now, they have to win one of these two. If they don't win one of these two, that's really, really bad.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I don't want to say end of republic, but end of republic kind of stuff.
It feels that way.
You know, we've talked about this every election. People say, most important election of a lifetime. I think this is the last one of the republic. If the Democrats win both houses and have the presidency, and there is no stopping them, there's no speed bump, it's just all going to be left up to the states.
Well, the speed bump this time has been their own party, Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema.
Yeah, that worked out well.
And of course, as we promised you from the very beginning, Joe Manchin will not save you. He never will. He'll never come to your rescue. He'll never be on a horse there to make sure you're just A-okay in the end. He will always screw you. Every single time. That's how this story ends. Just want to remind voters in West Virginia who voted for Donald Trump by 39 points last election that maybe Joe Manchin should not be the choice next time if he chooses to run again. Just a little request from the rest of the country. We have tons of crappy senators all around the rest of the country, but really we shouldn't have any from West Virginia. That shouldn't be an option. So hopefully that one gets But
while he's on that topic,
election.
I'd just like to say, next election, will somebody please run against Mitt Romney and throw him the hell out too?
That would be nice. That would be nice.
Your turn.
Okay. So now that we're done with our bitching.
Yeah.
So the Republicans are favored to win the House. But again, it's a 4-1 type of thing. It's about 80-20 according to 538, which again is no sure thing.
Right.
Though they are heavy favorites at this point. There has been a big media push to try to come up with reasons why this is going to turn around and Democrats are going to win. One of the big ones is the abortion thing. They're trying to make the Kansas election into this beacon of hope for Democrats, that they will be able to get all that energy behind their base and they will all come out and vote because they're so sad that they can't kill children anymore that they're going to wind up winning this election.
No.
I think the Kansas thing, we talked about this right after. I think the Kansas thing was a very isolated, weird example. It was not particularly written well. It was right after the overturn, which was not planned. It was supposed to happen before an overturn of Roe versus Wade happened. That was the idea behind it. The energy was all with the Democrats in an off election during a primary where not everyone's focused on it, blah, 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 blah. I think if you brought that same thing up in Kansas in 2 years, it would pass on our side. But we'll see. That's because they're going to try it again, surely. I don't think on an election day where everyone's going to be focused on it, that you're going to get more energy out of the left over abortion than on the right for Biden's performance, for inflation, for the economy, for raiding the former president's house, for all the things that Republicans are fired up about. I don't think there's any chance that that works.
So I heard speculation that over the weekend, they wanted Donald Trump to win. They want Donald Trump. They want him. They want him up in the polls. They want his people very excited. And they said that they thought, or this person I was talking to thought that this was intentional from the left because they wanted to make this campaign as well about Donald Trump.
I don't think that is crazy. Now, I don't know that you'd say it doesn't make any sense.
Stu, it's 2022. Nothing is crazy.
That's a good point. There's two ways to look at this, right? If you're a Democrat, number one, you have Donald Trump, who is a known quantity. You know for sure that 45% of the country hates his guts and will never vote for him no matter what. Like, that is the starting point of this election. Okay. You also know that 45% of the country will walk through a wall of fire to vote for the guy. So you take your chance with the few people in the middle and hope that you can squeak out a relatively close election with those people, generally speaking, in the suburbs and generally speaking, women who in 2016 leaned towards Trump, in 2020 leaned towards Biden. And you say, they're not going to go back to Trump. The things that turned them off from Trump in 2020 have not gone away. He will be as divisive as he's ever been, and we can walk that same line. The other side of this is, in support of your friend's theory here, is the idea that we don't know how to fight that battle against Ron DeSantis. We have shown no ability to put a dent in what he's tried to do in Florida. Now, this is a risky strategy for Democrats because, again, if you believe Democrats, they will tell you that Donald Trump is actually Hitler. So to promote his candidacy would be something that is against every human.
Well, I have read Trump is Hitler. Ron DeSantis is worse.
Of course.
Okay? It's every time.
Yes.
So I don't know who that, Lucifer, I guess.
Right. Now, we do not have, looking at the DeSantis option, they don't know how to beat him. They have not shown the ability to beat him. They took a situation where they probably should have beat him for the first time when he was running for governor and lost. And they have not been able to put a dent in him. He's going to win this election easily, by all appearances, here in Florida for governor. So they don't have a great strategy on this one yet. The other thing, though, is they do not have 45% of people who see Ron DeSantis as a movement. A lot of conservatives like him, but even in just name familiarity, he is nowhere near the situation that Donald Trump is in. So it's a risky strategy if they really believe Donald Trump is uniquely dangerous. And that's their case on all this stuff. We should be able to do this stuff. You shouldn't worry about us raiding a former president's home because he's so uniquely terrible and dangerous to the country. That's their entire case. Yet, here they are theoretically wanting to run against him because they think they can defeat him. Now, look, they made that same bet in 2016. They did. MSNBC aired every single one of his rallies in full in 2016. The same thing with CNN. They went out and gave this guy an incredible amount of free media during the primary, which was a big reason why he wound up winning the primary. That's been well covered. Then they wound up getting burned by it in a big, big way.
Let me get back to the House and Senate race. How are the people that would vote like Trump, and I mean that are really dedicated to, all right, let's abolish the Department of Education. Let's use every constitutional thing that we have, and I'm tired of Mitch McConnell and all of this crap. How many people are running and are winning who appear to be those kind of people. Is there any kind of sense of that yet?
It's pretty mixed. It's mixed on the type of race that they're in. We're seeing people who Trump has endorsed doing really well in the places you'd kind of expect it, right? Where more red states. The obvious example of the alternate is Dr. Oz, who is not doing well against a man who is barely alive, a man who.
Oh, he's still alive?
Yeah, I think. I've seen footage of him recently, and I'm starting to question it. But, I mean, Fetterman is, the man he wasn't good before this, but he had a massive stroke. He's hidden from the public in Pennsylvania for months. And
you mean like he's in his basement?
Like he's running the Joe Biden 2020 campaign all over again.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Sometimes, and it certainly so far has worked for him. Staying out of the spotlight and not reminding people who you are works really well sometimes. Especially with someone like Dr. Oz, who is so well known and again immediately sets a giant percentage of the population into two camps. And unlike Donald Trump, who has a big movement behind him in support, I'll walk through a wall of fire, there isn't that sort of movement for Dr. Oz. So
no, because the people who really know him were kind of Oprah fans. And I don't think the Venn diagram of Oprah and Trump
it's not.
I'd like to see
huge crossover.
Yeah, I mean, it might be like 10 feet apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the polls in Pennsylvania show Fetterman up by double digits, most of them, which is.
Gosh.
Now, if you look at the overall Senate, the easiest way to understand this at this very moment is to basically start your process at 46-46. Okay? The seats that aren't up for election, plus the ones that should be easy for both sides, there's possibilities that there could be a couple of these races that would move in future months. But if you start right now, you're at 46-46 with 8 races left in the middle that are theoretically winnable for either side. That would include Pennsylvania, by the way.
It's not winnable.
So if you take that one out,
and corruption in Pennsylvania, I'm not convinced that they've cleaned that up.
If you take that one, leave that one in the 8 for the moment. Republicans would have to win 5 of the 8 races to take control. Now, in that race, you're talking about Pennsylvania. You're talking about Wisconsin. You're talking about Nevada. These are not necessarily hardcore red states that should be easy, though they are all theoretically winnable. Arizona's another one. Georgia, we talked to Herschel Walker the other day. That race, he's been polling's showing him slightly behind. I thought he had a good appearance here on the show the other day, and it's important that he win that race. It's crucial. New Hampshire is one that, in a wave election, is winnable for Republicans, and it's a close race. The polling's showing it very close, but will they be able to pull that off? You've got North Carolina in there as well. I think I mentioned Ohio. Ohio's a race I think they will win. That's one. That's one. You look if you look at this, Arizona could go either way. Georgia, I think should be one that they'd be favored on, but they've really gone after Herschel Walker, and it's hurt him so far. It's a close race. New Hampshire, I think, is one you typically assume you'd lose, but is winnable and looks like it's a tight race. North Carolina, again, it's a purple state. It's one of the closest states in the 2020 election. Nevada you're trying to take out a Democratic incumbent, but I think is winnable, especially if this is a Republican-leaning year. Pennsylvania, I think really was winnable if the primary went the other way. Yeah. Now is really a question. Then you got Wisconsin and Ohio.
Okay, so here's the message from all of this. Write it down on your calendar. Make sure I've never said, go pick people up and take them. I've never been, like, hey, maybe we should get a bus. Get a bus. Everyone has got to vote, or it doesn't stop.